This week on the menu of the Wrestling Analyst podcast, we're serving up a full plate of wrestling insight. First, I'll break down the evolving storyline behind the WWE World's Women's Championship. Is Nikki Bella fighting for the title or for her relevance? And is Stephanie Vaquer fighting Nikki or her own doubts? In my opinion segment, I'll dive into why the SmackDown Women's Division is in desperate need of a shakeup and help, and what could save it. And in the booking room, I'll lay out my vision for how I'd book Cody Rhodes' WWE Undisputed Championship run all the way to WrestleMania. So buckle up and let's go beyond the bell. So let's start with the weekend review, the Raw recap. Big shifts and bigger questions. John Cena makes history. Cena finally captures the one title that eluded him his entire career, the Intercontinental Championship. He defeated Dominic Mysterio. But the question remains, will Dominic win the last match, the last time his now tournament, and reclaim the gold in Cena's last match? The tournament drama intensifies. Speaking of the tournament, Rusev and Sheamus punched their ticket to the quarterfinal, beating Damon Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura, respectively. Here's the twist. Sheamus has never won the title, the Intercontinental title either. So could he be the one to win the tournament and dethrone Cena to complete his own Grand Slam? Stephanie Vaquer retains, but then chaos ensues. Vaquer successfully defended the title against Raquel Rodriguez. After the match, Roxanne attacked Vaquer. Nikki came to Vaquer's defense, but that celebration didn't last long. As I predicted some weeks ago, and it was obvious, Nikki Bella showed her true colors, smashing Vaquer with the championship belt, and the women's division just got a whole lot more volatile. More on this later on in my detailed storyline breakdown, because that's exactly the storyline that I will analyze. War Games announcements shakes things up. So William Regal announced the men's War Game match in his iconic style, and I think William Regal is going to be a lock every November to announce the War Game match. Just bring him back for his War Games. Now, the men's War Game match is CM Punk, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and one or two more people to be determined. Who is it going to be? Maybe some people from SmackDown. We'll see. Could be, let's say, there's a lot of rumor. Well, they're going to face Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, and one or two people to be determined. There's a lot of rumors swirling with the MFTs and Sami Zayn. Now, could we see 3 War Games matches this year? That's very unlikely, but it's not impossible. What I think is you have right now 3 people from Raw on each side. So we're missing people from SmackDown. Because in the women's match, you have 2 from Raw, 2 from SmackDown on one side, 2 from Raw, 2 from SmackDown on the other side. So who from SmackDown could join the War Games team? Well, for the heels, for Paul Heyman's team, you could have maybe Tala Tunga and Solo Sikoa. Maybe Paul Heyman could make peace with Solo and have two of his MFT people fight alongside the Vision. And for the baby faces, I see, of course, Sami Zayn. Who would be the second guy? Shinsuke? Ray Phoenix? Well, right now, no, I was wrong. There's two people from Raw and one from SmackDown in the baby faces because Cody is there. So maybe you could have another team member from Raw. Could it be LA Knight? Could be. So the women's war game is set with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss. And a fifth member. Is it going to be Bayley? Is it going to be AJ Lee? Is it going to be Lyra Valkyria? Sorry. Or is it going to be Stephanie Vaquer? And on the other side, you have the Kabuki Warriors. You have Nia Jax. You have Lash Legend. And if Stephanie Vaquer joins the baby faces, you can have Nikki Bella on the other side. We've got new women's tag team champions. Just as I suspected, when you had Rhea Ripley's injury, I said that the Kabuki Warriors chasing the titles would lead to them winning them probably on the first occasion. So that's what we had last Monday. Now, before I end my Raw recap, I just want to give my props to Asuka on the finish. Now, for those who are familiar with the channel, you all know that I love Asuka as a wrestler. And she just proved that she was one of the best and that she cares for her co-workers. On the finish, you plainly see her placing Charlotte's arm to protect her from injury. So, Asuka, good job, and congratulations to the new tag team champions. Now let's go with the NXT recap. Gold Rush looms large. So we got a new men's speed champion when Jasper Troy beat El Grande Americano for the speed championship. Now I've been saying it, that championship, that title belt doesn't mean shit. But hey, that's a belt maybe to push somebody, whatever. On the women's side, we got Fallon Henley that advanced to the finals and will face Zarya at Gold Rush this Tuesday. Expect fireworks in this one. Thea Hale scored a big win over Alba Fire of the Secret Harvest, building momentum ahead of her match with Joe Hendry against Chelsea Green and Ethan Page for the AAA Mixed Tag Team Championship. Tavion Heights defeated Josh Briggs. Honestly, Briggs' losing streak raises questions. Until recently, he was in the main event. He had a couple of chances. He had a couple of cracks at the NXT title. Now, when they start having losing streaks like that, remember he lost against El Grande Americano last week, and he lost against Tavion Heights. So the question I'm raising right now, there's two possibilities. Is Briggs going to be released? Or is Briggs going to be called up to the main roster? It's either one of them. Unless they want to make him lose his matches and then maybe make a comeback, maybe make a baby face turn, but I doubt this outcome very much. So just wait and see what's happening with Josh Briggs. Blake Monroe shows her dark side. We got an intriguing interview with Blake Monroe, revealing a darker edge for her character. Now, many fans, from what I see on X, want Blake Monroe on the main roster. But in my opinion, staying in NXT for deeper character development is the smarter move. I'll talk about it a little bit in my opinion segment, but Blake Monroe should stay in NXT, defend the NXT North American Championship, eventually losing it because she's going to win after that the NXT Women's Championship. Ricky Saints retains in brutal fashion. Now, what a spear from the crowd to fall on the announce table. Wow. So he retained against Trick Williams in a last man standing match. And to me, that signals that Trick is heading to the main roster. And pretty soon. He could even... Oh, okay. You want to clown on me? He could even be... I think it's... Who's got... I think it's LA Knight. Who's got a mystery opponent. He could very well be LA Knight's mystery opponent on SmackDown this Friday. And after the match, Oba Femi returned. So speculations about a main roster call-up just ended as Oba Femi makes his return. Now, could he reclaim the NXT title from Ricky Saints before making his own move up to the main roster? Could be. Or is it a last match for Oba Femi on NXT? And if he loses, he's gonna go up to the main roster himself. So that's it for the NXT recap. So I'll go now with the SmackDown recap. So as for SmackDown episode, the opening segment saw Charlotte Flair back out of the War Games match because of her past with Rhea Ripley. Now, will Charlotte join War Games after all? We shall see in the coming weeks. Jey Uso beat The Miz in the last time is now tournament. Now, I would have loved to see The Miz go one-on-one with Cena one last time, but it's not going to happen unless maybe we see that on an episode of Raw or something. Ilya Dragunov beat Axiom in the United States Championship Open Challenge. Dragunov is continuing his winning streak. And is it going to be Tama Tonga or Tommaso Ciampa next in line? We'll see. Who's going to take the title off of Dragunov? Maybe not anytime soon. Hope not. There was an announcement. Now, I was talking the last few weeks about maybe a War Games match, a third War Games match from the MFT against Sammy, Shinsuke Nakamura, Motor City Machine Gun, and Ray Phoenix. Obviously, I never thought, well, I almost forgot there was a classic 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches that could be done, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Next week, I'm going to be making my opinion segment about Survivor Series. Should they go 2 nights? I already talked about that in a former video, in one of my first video when I restarted doing my this channel. But I'm going to dive deeper into the Survivor Series 2 night event situation or speculation. LA Knight beat Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder in the last time is now tournament. Now there was a lot of speculation. Myself, I thought it would maybe be Trick Williams that would face LA Knight, but it was Matt Cardona. So it was nice seeing him back in WWE, even though he made a match recently in NXT. Jade Cargill simply squashes BFAB. And like I said last week in my booking room segment, WWE is doing exactly what they should be doing with Jade Cargill, having her squash opponents and have her have short matches to hide her flaws, a lot like WCW did with Bill Goldberg back in when there was the Monday Night Wars. And finally, Cody Rhodes defended the Undisputed Championship against Bronson Reed, but interference from Braun Breaker and Logan Paul caused a disqualification, and we saw the comeback of Drew McIntyre, who was aligning himself with the Vision. So expect Drew McIntyre to be in the War Games match against Cody, the Usos, because both of them came to the aid of Cody in there, and of course CM Punk. So there's one guy missing on each side right now. So let's stay tuned to what's going to happen next week. And War Games is coming 2 weeks from now. So we'll see the developments during the coming week. Let's go to the detailed storyline. Welcome to the Wrestling Analyst podcast, Beyond the Bell, where the real story begins after the final bell. I'm your host, Night Stalker Luc Baudier, and together we'll break down the week's biggest moments, analyze storylines, and bring you opinions that hit harder than the steel chair. We will also explore how I would be booking a storyline if I were head of creative. Because here, every match tells a story, and we're here to break it down. So hit subscribe, leave a like, and click that notification bell, and let's go beyond the bell. So for my detailed storyline breakdown, I decided to talk about the World Women's Championship. When trust turns into betrayal and ego becomes the ultimate weapon, Stephanie Vaquer thought she had an ally, but Nikki Bella had other plans. Was this about the championship or about proving that she's still queen of the division? Now let's break it down. Stephanie Vaquer stands tall as the current women's world champion, having successfully defended her title against Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez in the recent weeks. She's proven herself as a dominant force, but here's the reality. Major contenders are tied up in other storylines. Asuka is now focused on her tag team championship run with Kairi Sane. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are locked in a heated feud with the Kabuki Warriors. probably for the tag team championship. Bailey, which is not really a main event player right now, but she is a main event star, is working with Lyra Valkyria to elevate her own character arc and Lyra Valkyria's at the same time. And Becky Lynch, well, she's holding the Intercontinental Championship and is busy defending that title. So while WWE waits for one of these top tier names to free up for WrestleMania season, they needed a challenger who could create drama and keep the championship scene relevant. Enter Nikki Bella. The heel turn that everyone saw coming, or at least should have seen coming. Now, Nikki Bella pretended to be Stephanie's friend, just like she's done before. Let's not forget, Nikki even turned on her own sister at one point in her career. This betrayal was inevitable. Honestly, it was so obvious that everyone should have seen it coming. Here's the simple truth. Nikki was never sincere. She stayed close to Vaquer to wait for her moment to jump the line and secure a title shot without earning it the hard way. So what was Nikki Bella's motivation? This isn't just about the championship. It's about ego. It's about legacy. It's about validation. Nikki's mindset right now, her ego and her insecurity, her legacy defines her. Not being champion makes her irrelevant. That's what she's thinking. She's seeking justification. Well, she is justifying her actions because she truly believes she deserves the spotlight more than anyone else. And she's hungry for validation. Nikki wants to prove she can still dominate the division. And she's willing to burn bridges to achieve that goal. She wants to add the World Women's Championship to her Hall of Fame resume, and she refuses to be overshadowed or forgotten. This is about clinging to her past glory and proving she is still the alpha female in WWE. Now, Stephanie Vaquer's state of mind right now. This is personal. She feels betrayed and shocked. Well, she feels betrayed and she's in shock. She trusted Nikki, so the heel turn feels like a knife in the back. She's questioning her own judgment and blaming herself for letting her guard down. Defensive pride. Stephanie wants to prove she's not a paper champion. The betrayal adds pressure, and she must keep her emotions in check while defending the title. And her emotional status is anger mixed with disappointment and self-doubt, determination to fight back, and a sense of urgency because she cannot afford to look weak in her first major feud as champion. So why is this storyline working? It's not complicated, but it's compelling. Nikki represents the old guard, desperate to reclaim glory. And Stephanie embodies the new era, fighting to protect her credibility. So this is more than a feud. It's a battle of identities, legacy versus future, ego versus pride, betrayal versus trust. So is Nikki Bella going to win the Women's World Championship? My answer would be no. First of all, Nikki, though she was a great champion in the past, she is not championship material in this day and age. I know it's not going to be a popular uh, sentence here, but she is not championship material in WWE right now. That's my point, and that's what I think. This is a feud just to wait, like I said earlier, to wait until we have we get to WrestleMania season. The match I think we're going to see, because I think Stephanie Vaquer is going to keep the title until WrestleMania. Or if she loses it, she's going to be involved in WrestleMania in the title match. What I think is going to happen is that Stephanie Vaquer is going to retain the title until WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair is going to win the Royal Rumble. If it's Bianca Belair, like I think it will be, she will face Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. That would leave Elimination Chamber with Rhea winning and facing Vaquer for the title at WrestleMania. So let's go to my opinion segment. Okay, so for my opinion segment this week, I decided to talk about the SmackDown women's roster because the SmackDown women's division is in desperate call for reinforcement. So when you compare the women's roster from Raw and SmackDown, you can clearly see the disparity, not necessarily talent-wise, but more with main event players and former world champion that can still be considered world championship worthy. So let's start by comparing both rosters. So let's start with Raw. So the Raw women's roster, the main event players, you see there's Stephanie Vaquer, that's presently the world champion. You got Io Sky, which is the two-time world champion already. You have Rhea Ripley, that's won the title maybe 3, 4, 5 times already. I haven't kept count, but you know what I mean. Rhea Ripley is one of the best right now in WWE. You got Bayley, that right now could be a mid-carder, but she's has numerous world championship right now. Of course, there's Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch which is the Intercontinental Championship right now. But I talked about her a couple of weeks ago, and her title defense are main event worthy right now. There's Naomi, that was a champion before going on a pregnancy leave. You got Asuka, that is a 5-time women champion already, longest reigning in one title run, longest reigning NXT champion. You got Liv Morgan, that's injured right now, and I can even add AJ Lee to the mix. Although AJ Lee would be more a mid-carder right now than a main event player, but she's a former champion as well. Now, the mid-card picture, you got Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria is going to be a main event player in a couple of years from now. Probably a world champion by herself, and she's very, very, very talented. You got Roxanne Perez, another future world champion. You got Raquel Rodriguez. you got Kairi Sane. You got Nikki Bella, that's a former champion. I put her in the mid card, but she's a former world champion, and she can still go in the ring, even though I said a couple of weeks ago that I don't know what she's doing there, because her role right now would be to put people over, and that's what she's going to do with Stephanie Vaquer now that she turned on her. And of course, you got Joey Stark, that's injured right now, but she's very, very, very talented. And the low card, you only have a couple of people there. You got Ivy Nile, you got Maxine Dupree, even though she's looking a lot better now and going for the Intercontinental title against Becky Lynch in 2 days on Monday. And you got a former world champion in Natalia in the low card as well. So as you can see, the Raw roster is really stacked. Just like I said in my opinion segment last week, talking about the women's roster. Was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. So you see how it is stacked already. Now let's talk about the SmackDown roster, SmackDown women's roster. In the main event, you see less names in the main event caliber match, main event caliber wrestlers. You got Jade Cargill's that right now the world champion, and if she was not the champion, I would not even put her in that category. Not that I hate Jade, it's not that at all. Jade is a wrestler, but I don't think she was ready for a world title yet. You got Charlotte Flair. Now that her and Alexa Bliss lost the tag team championship, she can go back in the main event picture. You got Bianca Belair, who's currently injured. Now, she's got a broken finger. I find that her broken finger takes a freaking long time to heal. There's probably something else in there related to that. Was she pregnant or something? I don't know. But we haven't seen her since WrestleMania. You got Nia Jax. Nia Jax is not a very good wrestler. She's big, and she belongs in the main event. But I would use Nia Jax more like a monster to be an obstacle to reach the main event level for mid-card people. And of course, you got a former champion, Tiffany Stratton, who's really a main event player as well. But the main event picture of SmackDown resumes to 5 people right now. Now, in the mid-card, you got Julia. Now, Julia just lost her U.S. championship last Friday to Chelsea Green. And Julia could be moving to the main event picture. So that would add at least one person there in the main event picture. You got Chelsea Green, which I just talked about, that won the U.S. championship. I put Alexa Bliss, even though she's a former champion, I put Alexa Bliss in the mid-card right now. Maybe she could challenge Chelsea for the title, for the U.S. title. You got Michin, you got Zelina Vega, but Zelina is going to be used less and less as a wrestler and more as a manager for her husband, Aleister Black. You got Alba Fire, which has more a secondary role right now in the Secret Service. You got Lash Legends that just got there. Is she going to be added to the main event picture with Nia Jax as a tag team? Could be. I put her in the mid-card level right now because I don't think she's ready to be a main event player right now. And of course, you got Piper Niven, who is injured, who has a severe neck injury and maybe a career-threatening injury, and she's in the mid card. In the lower card on SmackDown, we got Nikki Cross, who never wrestles, She's personifying Sister Abigail in the Wyatt Six, but you never see her. You got B Fab. B Fab is going to face Jade Cargill on the next Friday, and it's going to be not next Friday, but she faced Jade Cargill last night. At the time of this recording, the match didn't happen yet, but I expect that's going to be a squash match in under 2 or 3 minutes, and it's going to be over. You got Candice LeRae and you got Kiana James in the low card. Now, I'm saying that the SmackDown roster needs help. So, what could be the help that the SmackDown women's roster could get? Possible additional call-ups from NXT. Of course, there's Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace, which is a former multi-time TNA champion, knockouts champion, and she could be added to the main event picture right on arrival at SmackDown. There's Kalani Jordan. When she loses her TNA Knockouts Championship, because her heel run right now as a TNA Knockouts champion, I think it's the last thing that Kalani has to learn being a heel before getting called up. So when she loses the title, she might get called up on the main roster. There's Sol Ruka. Sol Ruka improved leaps and bounds since she started a couple of years ago. And her Soul Snatcher finisher is, I think, the best finisher in the business right now. And she can be added to the U.S. title picture in the mid card or in the tag team division with Zarya. Of course, Zarya, same thing. She can be added to the U.S. title picture or as a tag team with Sol Ruka. Those two, now that is if Zarya doesn't turn on Sol Ruka next Tuesday in New York. But they could be added as a tag team on SmackDown. There's Blake Monroe. She could be a main event player right now on SmackDown. But I don't think that they want to rush Blake Monroe like they did with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer is having a lot of success on Raw, and I'm happy for her. Julia, she's had success too. She won the U.S. Championship, but that reign was lackluster because I think they didn't know what to do with her during that title reign. So Blake Monroe, she's the North American champion right now in NXT, and I think she's going to keep that title for a while. And then they're probably going to give her a NXT championship run, women's championship run as well, before getting her on the main roster. Of course, there's JC Jane. JC Jane could be added in the mid-card picture. And there's Carmen Petrovich, who could be a part of Chelsea Green's Secret Service. But that would be a secondary role. There's a lot of rumors for Carmen Petrovich going up and to be a part of the Secret Service. But like I say, these could be great additions to the SmackDown roster. Of course, that would not add a lot of people to the main event scene. Like I said, Julia could be added, so that's a sixth wrestler there. And if they call it Jordan Grace, that could be a seventh main event player on SmackDown. So tell me what you think in the comments. Who would you add to the SmackDown roster so that you can have more people maybe vying for the WWE Women's Championship. Okay, for this week's booking room, I decided to go with the WWE Championship currently held by Cody Rhodes. He's currently in the feud with Drew McIntyre, who got suspended storyline wise, so he can go shoot a movie. And he was suspended for basically for hitting a referee. Now, right now, I don't see any real good storyline for Cody's opponent for WrestleMania right now. There are two men that I could see winning the Royal Rumble to challenge Cody for the title. The first one would be Roman Reigns. So we could have babyface Cody versus babyface Roman, but I don't see that happening for a third time in 4 years. The second one, maybe you're going to like it better, would be a surprise entrant at number 30 in the Royal Rumble, or maybe even better yet, you get the 30th participant in there, and then they announce that there's a 31st entry in the Royal Rumble. That would be a first, but you'll see where I'm going. So the surprise entrant would be The Rock, who could use his final boss influence since he's the boss. He's on the board of TKO, so he could be entering the Royal Rumble at number 30, win the Royal Rumble, and challenge Cody for the WWE Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania. And why would he do that is to get his revenge for Cody not accepting to sell his soul to him. But in reality, I don't think that I see any of these scenarios happening. So here is what I would do if I was head of creative. So Survivor Series Cup. Cody is challenged for the title by Aleister Black. Cody retains the title, and he's attacked by Drew McIntyre, whose suspension has not been lifted yet. But Cody attacks him after the match. And on the following Raw, Cody asked for a match against McIntyre, but McIntyre, since he's still suspended, he should not be there. And Cody asked for Adam Pearce to lift McIntyre's suspension. Now, I don't know if this is all possible since Drew is going to shoot a movie. So how much time will he be gone? I don't know. Okay. But let's say, for argument's sake, or for this video's sake, that Adam Pearce can lift the suspension. McIntyre says at that time, well, I'm not going to fight you on your time. I'm going to fight you on my time. And every time Cody is in the ring, Drew can go in and attack him and do him a claymore. And after a few weeks of Drew attacking, of repeated attacks from Drew on Cody, McIntyre says he wants to face Cody at the Rumble. So the following Raw, Cody goes to see Adam Pearce and makes the match official for the Royal Rumble. Okay, so Adam Pearce makes the match official, but he announces that it's a Hell in a Cell match. And with the special stipulation that this is the last championship match involving both of them, meaning that if Cody loses, he has no rematch clause. But he can win Money in the Bank later in that year. and to get a shot, but I don't see that happening either. Maybe Cody has to disappear a little bit from the title picture and go on some other feuds to maybe elevate some other people. But like I said, for argument's sake or for this video's sake, we're going to assume that this is going this way. And Drew McIntyre shocks everyone and wins the WWE Championship with a Claymore while Cody is holding a chair that he intended to use on Drew, and he would be holding the chair in front of his face, and Drew would hit the Claymore on the chair on Cody, and that would be the 1, 2, 3. So we have a new champion, Drew McIntyre. I think a lot of people online would be happy with that. Now, Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble, you get a winner, of course, that could challenge the champion of his choice. And a lot of rumors say right now that it could be Sami Zayn that win the Rumble. So I would have Sami Zayn win the Rumble as well. So that sets up Sami Zayn having to choose which champion he's going to challenge. Either Drew McIntyre or CM Punk right now. So the following SmackDown, Drew comes out to celebrate his title win and says that he has finally vanquished all the conspiracies against him, and there is no one to take that title away from him since Cody doesn't have the right to a rematch. Out comes Sami Zayn. Both go back and forth on a promo, and Drew reminds Sami that he has never beaten him and that he shouldn't choose him at WrestleMania. So Sami answers, well, there would not be a better time to have a first victory against Drew McIntyre than at WrestleMania and win my first world championship. And he officially chooses Drew as his opponent for WrestleMania. Build up to WrestleMania. So Drew mocks Sami, saying that he never lost to Sami, tries to play in the head of Sami. You can have tag matches where Sami loses to Drew to make him an even bigger underdog. Each week, Sami comes closer and closer, or each match, not each week, but each match, Sami can come closer and closer to beating Drew. He can even have the pin on Drew in a tag match at some point, but it would still not be a singles match. And he comes closer and closer to beating Drew, but for my booking purposes right now, he could never achieve the victory, either because of some break, the pin attempt, or Drew kicks out at the last split second. Fast forward to the last SmackDown before WrestleMania. Sami loses another tag match against Drew McIntyre and some other partner. Drew mocks Sami again, saying that he will never beat him. Drew climbs in the corner of the ring to taunt the fans. Sami gets up in the corner and loads up the Helluva Kick. Drew gets down from the corner. Sami hits the Helluva Kick and follows with the Blue Thunder Bomb. And Drew is laid out flat. Sami then poses with the undisputed champion over his head. And SmackDown ends on that note. So we get to WrestleMania. So at WrestleMania, you can have a match 20, 25, 30 minutes where Sami kicks out. He gets he gets the beating of his life, a little bit like the match against Gunther. Goes, but he has his hope spots and everything, but Drew almost dominates the whole match. Of course, Sammy gets his spots in and everything, but the majority, let's say 70 to 75% of the match, is dominated by Drew McIntyre. Sammy hits the Luva kick by itself, attempts the pin, so that's near the end. You get to the last 5 to 7 minutes of the match, and you let every false finish breathe. But here's the sequence I would book at WrestleMania. Sammy hits a Luva kick. Drew kicks out at 2.5 or 2.8. Drew hits the Claymore. So everyone thinks it's over. Sammy kicks out. Drew sets up for second Claymore. Everyone thinks, nope, it's going to be over. Drew hits the Claymore again. Sammy kicks out again. And then you can have the commentators, Michael Cole, say something like, Sammy won't die, or Sammy won't give up. Sammy is not going to go down tonight, or, things like that. Drew goes for a third Claymore. Sammy ducks. And then when Drew gets up, Sammy gets him in the Blue Thunder Bomb. Everyone thinks it's over. Drew kicks out again at 2.9. And finally, at the end, Sammy hits the Helluva kick. Drew, a little bit like what happened with the match with KO and Sammy against Jay and Jimmy Uso, when Sammy and Kevin won the tag team championships. Drew falls, but Sammy holds him back up. He replaces him in the corner, hits a second Helluva kick, followed by the Blue Thunder Bomb. 1, 2, 3, and we get a new WWE champion in Sami Zayn, beating Drew McIntyre in a singles match for the first time. So that's how I would book the WWE Championship, Undisputed Championship, from now to WrestleMania. Okay, so that's it for this week. Next week on my podcast, Beyond the Bell, the detailed storyline breakdown I'm going to make is about the Judgment Day. Is there dissension in the ranks? Of course there is, with Finn and Dominic and JD and all the dynamics around that. My opinion segment: should Survivor Series go 2 nights next year like WrestleMania and SummerSlam? I already had a video since I restarted my channel talking about 2-night PLEs. Survivor Series was one of them. Royal Rumble was another one. But I'm going to make the case to go Survivor Series 2 nights starting next year. And in my booking room, I'm going to go with the Intercontinental Championship. Is Cena going to retire as a champion? Or who takes the title from Cena on his last match next month? This week, November 15th in WWE history, I have 4 events to talk about this week. In 2019, in the setup for Survivor Series, it was a night that NXT wrestlers invaded SmackDown, headed by the Undisputed Era, attacking the Revival and the New Day. That led to Survivor, the first and only Survivor Series that implicated Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, in which NXT completely dominated the night. And I just loved it at that time. In 1983, Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson, Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father, win the WWF Tag Team Championship, becoming the first Afro-Americans to do so. So a little bit of Black History Month here. In 1998, there were two events. Sable beat Jacqueline at Survivor Series to win the Women's Championship. But it was also the night that The Rock became the corporate champion when he beat Mankind for his first WWE title, associating himself with Vince McMahon. And it was the beginning of the phenomenon that will become The Rock as we know him today. And like they say, the rest is history. So have a good week. Tell me what you think in the comments, and see you next week. That's it for this week, and thank you for listening to the Wrestling Analyst podcast, Beyond the Bell. If you loved what you heard, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the action. Got opinions? Share them in the comments. I want to hear your take. So until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and keep going beyond the bell.